Hi, and welcome back to my channel. Today we are talking about something that is quite important for your own development. And if you have been thinking whether to take IELTS soon or not, and what are the pros and cons, and whether do you need it at all, this video is going to be quite beneficial for you. I hope so, because today I'm going to give you 10 arguments of why should you take your IELTS test this particular year, and preferably not to postpone it any further, especially if you have been preparing. Let's go. So the first and foremost is the fact that IELTS is very useful for you at any stage of your life, regardless of whether you want to apply to study abroad or apply for a visa, or you want to go and have a career somewhere in a foreign country. It doesn't really matter. Regardless of what you need to do abroad, IELTS is still very much useful because that's just a method to understand what is your current level of English proficiency. Another thing is that IELTS is recognized worldwide. Regardless of the place you want to send your application to, IELTS will be that test that really assesses your level and gives the best proof of your English proficiency to the authorities that you're sending your test to. Now, why is this? That is just because IELTS is very trusted across the globe because of its high quality criteria for assessment and for methodology of its questions. The next one is my favorite because IELTS is not only a tool for you to get somewhere, it's also a very good training for your English skills. If you decide to treat it as a training and a drill for your own proficiency, it will give you that setting of being with native speakers and exercising your English in the natural environment. Because in IELTS, there are so many questions that are based on your natural communication with native speakers abroad and also in scientific or educational setups. So by taking IELTS test, you already will be applying all of your English skills as you would in a situation somewhere abroad with the native speakers. And this test includes different kinds of your skills, right? It tests your reading and listening and speaking and writing. And speaking of speaking, such a fun here. But with speaking, you will be having a very natural live conversation with an evaluator who will place you in a situation that you might encounter with your colleagues or friends or classmates abroad when having a natural conversation. So that's a very good training for your own English proficiency. The fourth point is that IELTS examiners apply very strict criteria to marking all of the tests, which means that your results will precisely reflect your current English language level. And the 9-band scoring system that they use is fairly consistent because of the same interpretation of the results all over the globe. Another thing that there are 2 types of the test to choose from, and actually there are more. If you go to the official IELTS website, you will see that there are more than 2 basic types of the tests. I also talk about that in my previous video on how to prepare for IELTS, so go watch that. The link will be here. But usually we choose between IELTS Academic and IELTS General depending on our personal goals and depending on which institution we want to send our results to. For universities, whether it's a graduate or postgraduate or an undergraduate program, and for corporations to work with companies in an English-speaking country, you will need the academic IELTS module. For those who want to follow a vocational training that doesn't require any higher degree of education, or for those who want to migrate, especially as a spouse, for instance, the general IELTS test is the right one. But regardless of that, you should always look up on the official IELTS website as to what module exactly do you need. Of course, IELTS is a requirement for the majority of universities abroad. For the most leading and prestigious ones, they set a very high target score. As long as IELTS is a proof of your ability to communicate in English fluently in different kinds of life situations and daily settings, they set a specific target score that you must reach in order to be eligible for a specific type of program that you're applying to. Leading and the most prestigious universities out there typically set a very high bar in terms of their target band score, and people need to score from 7.5 to even 8.5 or even higher in some cases if you want to study English language at a postgraduate level, for instance. But generally, for more common universities, the target score is somewhere between 6.0 and 6.5, which is a minimum band score. Please mind that. And if there is a competition to a place, which normally there is, it means they will not take people with the minimum band score. They will try to take people who have higher results, obviously, because they want people who show more consistent and better organization of their education. So targeting something that is minimal definitely is not advised in any case. But if you're very lucky, you still can get into a good school with a 6.0 or 6.5 on IELTS academic. The 7th point is the fact that IELTS is great for your career. Being the world's most popular English language test, IELTS is recognized and accepted worldwide. Whether you want to work in a corporation, in education, or even in a government somewhere, IELTS will be a very good addition to your CV because it will not only show how serious you are about English, but also, of course, the level of your proficiency. That is very important for any employer out there. The 8th point is very nice because in terms of spelling, grammar, the choice of words and pronunciation, IELTS covers both British English and American English, so you can still choose your favorite accent. Whether you want to study in the US, the UK, New Zealand, Australia, Canada, anywhere in those places pretty much, the IELTS test gives you the ability to train and showcase the accent pertaining to those countries. This happens because the test is actually designed by trainers and examiners from all of those countries. It's not just the UK guys who are sitting there and writing those questions. No, there are people from the US, there are New Zealanders, there are British guys and Canadians, and all of them collaborate together to reflect the real English and terms that are used in advertisements, in science, in newspapers, books, and business reports all over the globe. The 9th point is quite nice because IELTS is available for taking all over the globe. Being an internationally accepted test, you can also take the test internationally, which is amazing. You can book a test date anywhere between a week or a couple of months of time, and you can take it in any of 900 available authorized places of British Council test venues. You can just sign up online, then choose a test venue in your city or in your country or even in another country if you decide to travel somewhere, and then following your registration, you just have to come on the date of your test and take it. The results will be issued in a fortnight from your test date, and they will also be sent online, and you can also pick up a paper-based version of the results, which is quite convenient. And lastly, the final 10th argument of why you should take IELTS this particular year is that IELTS changes every year and it becomes only more and more difficult, and it is better to finally decide and take the test now. Who knows what will happen in 1 or a couple of years? For instance, in 2020, they cancelled an entry example in the listening test. So why to wait until the exam becomes even more complicated and difficult? You should definitely brace yourself and finally take it. I really hope these arguments will prompt you to take the IELTS test this year, because it really opens so many opportunities, wonderful opportunities, across the globe and even in your native country. The test has truly changed my life, and I'm sure it will change for better yours. Thank you so much for being here with me today. I will be very happy if you decide to leave a like for me or even subscribe. And as always, I will be delighted to see you again here. Ciao!